Happy Sunday. I know it feels like that's a whole lot of ebullience for a day that is, kind of somber, all things considered. I don't have to remind you that it's September 11th and why that matters, or that the Queen of England died and that a lot of people have conflicting feelings about that. I'm not here to tell you how to feel, what to feel, or how to deal. I'm just going to assume that wherever you are is where you need to be and meet you there and help you take your best next step forward. That said, I haven't taken any steps forward since I think Thursday. And not to get too far out there, but sometimes there just aren't a lot of explanations a lot of the time for when these periods sort of like ebb and flow, because there'll be periods where like we have all kinds of energy and we want to do all the things and we're bursting with ideas and creativity and we want to write, we want to do, we want to go, we want to schedule, we want to do. And then there are other periods where it's just like your brain's a flat line. And I don't think that the energetic periods are specifically mania, meaning like there's something wrong, any more than I believe that those periods of flatlining are laziness or whatever pejorative you want to throw on that, believing there's something wrong. I really do think that in the whole scheme of things, there are ebbs and there are flows. Most of them are beyond our control. Even we don't like talking about it, thinking about it, or feeling it. Or, a whole lot of us were never allowed to believe that things were out of our control because we were punished for things or held responsible for things that were outside of our control. All of that's real and all that's valid. So, when in these moments, when it's like, hey guys, guess what? I haven't moved in 3 days. I woke up on Friday morning. I said, nope, I kept my booty on the couch, said, I'm not moving until I feel like moving. And I really haven't felt like moving since. And I'm okay with that. I'm totally okay with that. In these moments when I don't have a better explanation for it, because I really don't. Like, is it why did I wake up? Was I tired? Nah. Was it my time of month? Nah. Was it, am I depressed? Nah. Like, there's no real external no exogenous force, no internal battle going on. I just didn't want to do anything. I woke up with no funds left. So later on, I think it was Amanda Williams pointed out to me that it was full moon and Mercury retrograde all starting at the same time. That is a powerful combination. I'm like, that is it. It's a good explanation as anything else. My body is 90% water. The moon causes tides. It can totally act on my body, right? And if it doesn't want to move, it's because the moon said so. And who am I to argue with the moon? I'm staying on the couch. And that's what I did. So, though I tell you all of that to tell you this, if you have felt like not moving in the past few days, either because 9/11 was coming and there are valid reasons why this time of year is really hard. I know it sneaks up on me because it's hard for me too. Or if it's because, your country is in mourning, or you're really, really excited and you don't want to talk about it because your country might become a republic soon. I got a couple of texts like that from clients in Australia this weekend and in Ireland as well. Congratulations. I want you to have what you want. And that's all I can really say about that, because there's no winning because it's by making any commentary either way, because it's not my country. What I will say, though, is that what you are, the force, everything that's going on around you right now, those are all real. Lean into it. Be where you are. And if where you are is on the couch, that's okay. That's where I was. Let's hang out on the couch together. Oh my God, yes. Yes, I'm assuming this, oh my God, yes, is referring to the not wanting to move because of Mercury retrograde and the full moon. It was a whammy. It was a double whammy. I'm like, but it's like, I don't even necessarily chart astrology. I'm not that into it, but when I don't have an explanation, why not? You jogged 3/4 of a mile. That's amazing, Sarah. Sarah has been dealing with some foot issues, and I'm really, really, really glad to hear that she's turning a corner there. Love you, Sarah. That's amazing. Oh my God. You know who else ran a whole lot? Amy Wilson. Amy Wilson was like, I'm worried. I'm not doing as much as I used to do. Amy Wilson is a beast, by the way. She does a lot. She does more than I do. Like, her bad days are still more productive than my good days. It's wild. So she's been having a really productive past few days. Carrie as well. Carrie Ann, can I just say, Carrie Ann busted out like 8 miles the other day. She woke up and was like, I felt good. Why not? And I did it. And now I'm feeling more confident about my 8 miler next week. And I'm like, you did 8 miles today. I think you're going to be okay. So there are lots of you that are doing really great things, really cool things. You're doing a lot. Please resist comparing yourself to 2020 and compare yourself to 2021. Compare yourself to 3 months ago. That is really more fair. It's cool. Remember, I've always talked about, like, we've got, we got the secret goal, the end goal, the actual goal. And maybe the secret goal you had when you met me in 2015, 2016, 2017 now feels so far away, it hurts to think about it. That's valid. But what we can do is set up targets on our way to that secret goal. And if we need to adjust, that's fine, adjust. But we need to find something that makes you feel good. It makes you feel motivated. And if you're doing more now than you did before, that's what you really need to be looking at instead of trying to compare it to 2019. I say this as someone who ran my first marathon at 19, who went running for the first time when I was 6 and have been running consistently ever since. I might never run another marathon again. And I'm kind of okay with that. One of the things that I've been thinking to myself is like, kind of like, why does it matter? Why does it matter? Why these goals? The goals that I had for myself between the period of 2013 and 2019, I've really been evaluating them over the past 2 years. And I'm like, I don't really give a shit about this. I never did. This is what I thought I had to do to be taken seriously as a runner or a coach. And I would tell myself not to do this. So why am I even thinking this way? And I want to give you permission to do that too, as bad as that might be for my business. Like, we're never really talking about the running. What is it you're thinking about? You can be here and be with me and train with me and not train for anything other than this big old game of life and coming back from the pandemic or rebuilding, whatever that means to you. It can be a whole lot of different things, but really, in this whole point of this guide to DIY is that we can take the basics and mold them to fit whatever season your life happens to be in right now, and find all the support and community you need to get through each day. You are enough. It's enough. Oh my God, no, I don't want to do it. And I say that not to disrespect. If there's y'all know I hate 5Ks. I don't like training for anything shorter than a marathon because you have to run really hard in training, and it hurts, and it's bad for your knees, and it's bad for your hips, and it's bad for your back, and you need a lot of strength to be able to run that fast. And without that level of good strength, there is no point in going that fast. You're going to do more harm than good. I believe that as a coach, and I know that. And so if I don't want to do it, cool, but I don't want to do a proper 5K or 10K training. I don't really have the desire to do a half marathon. If I'm going to train for anything, it makes sense to do a marathon for a lot of reasons, because you're not really running hard or fast. You're just running a lot, which I like to do. But right now I'm not fit enough to run a lot. My health is improving. I can do a whole lot more than I could before. I do think that there will be a point when I can train for a marathon again, but I don't have to. And I'm still valid, and I'm still me, and I'm still awesome, and I'm still cool, even if I don't. And so are you, and so is Sarah Seberg. Because really what matters to you and to me, for you, Sarah Seberg, is being able to walk on that foot, for that foot being able to kick all the ass you kick day in, day out. You need 2 functioning feet for that. So I'm glad that foot held out for your 3/4 mile jog yesterday. So congratulations to everybody who did more than they gave themselves credit for this week, whether you're walking, running, or just trying to get through another day. So the questions, by the way, was anyone else like really frustrated? I was excited to sit down and open up and turn on the TV. I was all ready. Channel 236, E! News. I wanted the Emmys, red carpet. It's tomorrow. Since one of the Emmys on Monday. OMG. That was not awesome. Oh my God. Few things strike fear in my heart more than that particular child's voice, because I love her. But usually when she sneaks in the room, it's because she did something I don't need to know about in one of the other rooms. Anyway, Trisha Thorne said this time of year is so hectic, she chose rebuild so she could have the satisfaction of doing the workouts as written. We have a whole lot of people who do that, and that's why I offer the difference. So, I mean, it's not about perfect compliance, and that's a standard I wish people would stop holding themselves to. I don't even hold myself to it. It's one thing if you are training for something really specific with a very specific outcome in mind. Those are the times we have to follow the training plan to the T with no deviations and hope for the best and control all the. It's a lot of stress. And in times when we don't have that outcome, then we don't need the pressure and we don't need the stress and we don't need the compliance. But if you are the sort of person who is like, I thrive on seeing checks next to everything on my checklist, that's valid. Let's make that happen for you. Just like Trisha did for herself by picking rebuild so she could have green boxes and training peaks. That's fine, valid, fair, and amazing. Way to listen to yourself and give yourself what you need. That is what I want you, every single one of you, to do. Okay, so this same question, this one question, the big question for tonight. How do I get better at consistency? And why is it so hard? It starts here with understanding that everything's easy when you're fit. The vast majority of people who are part of this program have known me for a while. I don't think we haven't had anyone new in a long time. And like that is what it is too. No one was thinking about. No one was just waking up and being like, hey, I think I'm gonna run a marathon, right? We all went through collective trauma together for the past 2 years as a society. So now I think hopefully we'll start getting new people at some point as life starts returning to normal next year in a much bigger way than it has this year. But for now, it's hard. And first, I think the consistency is hard because when you are not where you want to be or where you feel like you should be, then everything you do is a reminder of that. So, for example, when my gut was failing me, when I had that big looking 8 months pregnant, I didn't have any pants that fit. And even if I'd had the energy to work out on the days that I did, I didn't have clothes or a body that I felt like I could move in. And it felt so awkward. And it felt so, because I was so much bigger than I am even right now, that everything was painful and a reminder of where I used to be. And it sort of made me feel ashamed, even though it wasn't my fault. And I knew that it didn't really matter. I didn't like where I was. So that is one part of consistency. If you are really unhappy with your body, then it's hard to find pleasure in doing the things that brought you pleasure before in that same body. One of the things that I recommend, I've talked about this in the past, I've talked about fancy pants or happy pants. For me, I have these CWX compression pants with rainbow polka dots on them. Everybody knows I love rainbow polka dots, rainbow stripes, rainbow patterned anything makes me ridiculously happy because inside I'm 5 years old. But these compression pants serve two purposes. One, it keeps my belly from jiggling when I jog, because that was a real distraction. It made me feel more pulled together. It was a more sensory thing than a what do I look like thing. That sense of feeling like I was being hugged was really the sort of a psychological support when I would go out for long walks or jogs. It also mitigated a whole lot of the chub rub that I was getting. Apologies, I don't have a better term for it. You know, those heat blisters, fever blisters that you get in your thighs, or whenever summer comes at the end of a marathon, all kinds of that. So that was one way that I sort of mitigated. I found something that made me more comfortable, and I dedicated myself to spending any time that I moved, I was wearing those pants. That would be one part of it. So not a total tangent, but running is not just one habit, but it's a whole lot of little habits that support the one bigger habit. And over the past 3 years, we've just been trying to survive. And it's hard to remember what all those little habits are. So again, when you can let yourself off the hook and say, there's a reason I'm not consistent. I'm not the same person. I'm not in the same place. I'm not in the same body. And a lot of my clothes don't fit. All of these things can be a source of shame, but it can also be, or if we can set the shame aside and just let that be what it is and say, I'm starting from a different point. You know, before, I might not have thought of it this way, but I was starting on second base. And now I'm actually starting at home plate. And that can be a really humbling thing. Rather than being mad at yourself for it, consistency is going to come a lot faster if we can find a way to connect with the joy in the movement and mitigate the shame. Again, fancy pants, one with so that's the mitigating the shame, or at least it was for me, because the parts of my body moving that had never been there before, that was very distracting for me. And I found that the compression pants really mitigated that distraction and actually felt really good. It does feel like a hug. So yay, compression pants. Compression socks, not so much. Those things are hard to get on and even harder to get off. Oh my God. But yeah, I've been finding the joy that can be finding audiobooks, downloading audiobooks from the library. It could be listening to a new podcast. There are, if you're really into the royal drama, there's a new podcast by Vanity Fair that's got 8 episodes. And I binged that while doing 5 mile walks when the podcast came out every Tuesday at the beginning of the summer. So mitigating the shame, connecting with the joy, and really just sort of letting yourself off the hook for performance expectations. Now, this is the hardest part of all of it, even for me as the coach of this. And I know that there's still a lot of people who come here and evaluate what I'm doing to determine whether or not I can teach them, get them well, if she's not where I want to be, then how can she get me where I want to go? That's the pressure. And I've been feeling it for several years. And, if there's a part of you that feels that, acknowledge it. That's probably real. And then you got to let it go, because any standards you might have had for yourself before are just not going to apply at the moment. And those standards are actually getting in the way of you becoming consistent again. So, because if it doesn't feel good and you have a lot of shame and you haven't connected to the joy, then it's going to be really hard to put the time in your Google Calendar and to stick to it when there are other things that maybe make you feel better. It's one thing to know how good it feels, movement can feel in a body that's healthy and fit and moves the way you want it to, and you feel like you're more in control of it. It just takes a while to get there. And the consistency is going to come finally by remembering that this is that level that we're trying to get to. It's not the secret goal way off in the distance. It's going to take a whole lot. It's going to take forever to get there, and we can't even afford to think about it. But rather, that level of fitness, that's our new goal. Not just our new goal, but our next goal. Now is not the time to think about I want to qualify for Boston. Okay, great, fine, valid. Not this cycle. Right now, we got to get back to something tangible. And don't hesitate to write that down. That can be another thing that once you've gotten there, you've checked it off, and then write in another goal. For you checklist people, I know my husband's a checklist person. I see him do that. He'll write down goals, cross it out, and then let the crossed out goals sort of stack up in a place. And if that is what works for you, cool, then let's do that. Because if you need to see that to be a visual reminder of how far you've come, that can be a lot more motivating than looking at how much further you have left to go. As I don't like measuring that in the middle of a race, especially a marathon, on a long run, ever. It just doesn't help. Having an idea of where you are, checking in from time to time is all you need to do. If you're ticking down from here to the end, that's the opposite of motivating. It's kind of boring. It's like watching water boil. Who does that? Other than my kids when I'm making hot chocolate. And if anybody has been there, you know how annoying it is. And staring at it doesn't make it get there any faster. It just drives everybody else crazy. So with that in mind, there are no tricks or tips other than sort of acknowledging your feelings, right? What is stopping you from feeling really consistent right now, or being really consistent right now? If it's not what I just said or have anything to do with what I've been talking about these last 18 minutes, please get in office hours and talk to me. The link, I should have it in your email, the Calendly link. Get in there and talk to me, and we'll figure it out together. Because really, if I could tell you, the most important thing is that you are nowhere near as far behind as you think you are. You aren't doing as badly as you think you are. Just because you're not doing what you had envisioned now doesn't mean that vision was likely to happen right now anyway. It's been rough. Give yourself credit for where you are. Give yourself credit for what you do. Last time I went for a jog, I cannot yet jog an entire mile with my heart rate under 140. I can't. I'm not fit enough yet. I've got a lot more muscle to build, a lot more metabolic change I've got to work through as we continue. My body gets a little bit better every day, but boy, it's still not in a great place. So if you are running or jogging, if you can jog an entire mile, regardless of pace, with your heart rate under 140, celebrate that, because I can't do it yet. If you are able to knock out 3, 11, or 12-minute miles in a row, celebrate that. I can't do that yet. So I'm not trying to say you're ungrateful, because that's shaming, but rather acknowledge what you're doing and how cool it is. And that is the thing that makes it really easy to be consistent, until Mercury retrograde comes along, and on the day of a full moon, right after a major head of state passes away, on the weekend of a national tragedy. That's a lot. So if you haven't moved, I was doing really great for the past 2 weeks. I've been really proud of my progress. My clothes are fitting better. I'm feeling better. I'm like, I want to do more. I might even do this hardcore on the floor nonsense that Nakia talks about all the time. I felt really good, and it was that positive feedback loop that I was getting into, and I was so excited about it. Bam. And I'm not going to let these past 3 days, these past 3 days of sitting on the couch have been fantastic. And it doesn't negate the 2 weeks of greatness. So keep what you're doing in context as well. 3 days off does not mean you've broken a habit. Only jogging 2 days a week doesn't mean you're failing in some way. That's 2 more days than you were doing before. That's exactly what a new habit looks like. Acknowledge that. And when there's time for more, you'll do more. Consistent, everything's easy when you're fit. When you're not, everything is a bit more work, a bit more thought, and a bit more effort than we want it to be. And that's why this program exists, and this is why I do office hours. It's why I still do Ask Away, and it's why we have this community. Reach out to all of us. I know that it's frustrating that there's not a simple formulaic answer. Only like things that belong on coffee mugs. Like, just do it. It's not helpful. It's not practical, and it's not helpful. At the same time, face your feelings, face your fears, face your shame, connect with the joy, put the time in your Google Calendar, find the thing that feels good. If it like, again, my compression pants that feel like a hug, I'm like my body's getting a hug the whole way. And then it makes it a whole lot easier to just do it. Okay. So that was the only question. And that is my long pontification, my screed, if you will, on consistency. Because it's easier to keep showing up when showing up feels good instead of bad. And it might be a lot longer time than you want. But you know what? We're not going to think about that, right? Because it's not motivating. This could take me 6 months. Don't think that way. It could be years. Don't think that way. One run at a time, one step at a time, one set of really cool hugging you jogging pants at a time. And then when you look back, that's when you're going to see the consistency, and you're going to see that it was always there because you're coached and you're loved. So loved, y'all. I hope you keep winning at life through the rest of the weekend, what little bit's left, and all the way through the next week, because at least none of us are having to deal with all kinds of cameras in our face while we deal with grief on a national stage. I would not want to be any member of the royal family right now, especially Prince Harry or his wife. OMG. Bless him. Anyway, love you. Love all of you so, so much. See you next week.